How many times have you opened a conversation with the classic, "Hi, how are you?" You've said it thousands of times and heard it even more, but think about it. Does it really create connection, spark charm, curiosity, or magnetism? Most of the time it dies immediately, devoured by monotony. The reality is that banal expressions like this don't open passages. They seal them, making exchanges superficial, predictable, and easily forgettable. If you want to stand out, capture attention, and leave an indelible memory, you need more than good manners, you need intensity. But before we continue, like the video, share it with people who could benefit from it, and write in the comments which city you follow our YouTube channel from. Here, Stoic wisdom, psychology, and contemporary neuroscience merge. In this content, we'll analyze for essential terms, for words at the heart of powerful phrases that awaken feelings, break down barriers, and make people naturally magnetized by you. They're not tricks, but timeless tools that transform how others see you. And stay with me until the end, because I'll reveal a simple and revolutionary alternative to, "Hi, how are you?" A phrase so unusual and fresh it will instantly change the atmosphere of any dialogue. Before we begin, make sure to follow the channel and join our Telegram community, where you'll get exclusive access to new content and insights on individual and spiritual growth. Now let's start. First word, understand. At the core of "I understand you" lies the word understand. It might seem obvious, but in truth it's profoundly revolutionary. Telling someone, "I understand you," means giving them one of the most precious gifts, the perception of being truly seen and recognized. Contemporary psychology shows that the desire to feel understood is as essential as feeling protected or being part of a community. When someone tells us, "I understand you," our mind interprets it as genuine approval of our inner universe. Research on so-called affect labeling reveals that when feelings are translated into words, whether ours or those of the person in front of us, the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, calms down, while the prefrontal cortex connected to empathy and emotional control becomes more dynamic. Practically speaking, saying, "I understand you," really helps the other person transition from impulsive reaction to a state of greater clarity. That's why those who offer understanding appear charismatic. They reduce emotional turmoil and replace it with consolation. And consolation is like an addiction. People want to stay close to those who provide it. The Stoics considered understanding as the highest discipline of the mind. Epictetus warned against speaking too quickly. First learn the meaning of what you say, then speak. Understanding first means controlling the ego. You don't react with pride, you respond with clarity. In everyday life, this means using "I understand you" in moments of frustration, suffering, or uncertainty. Look someone in the eyes and say it with serenity, "I understand you." Then stop. That silence gives weight to your expressions, communicates to the other. With me, you don't have to fight to be heard. And when people feel they don't have to fight, they bond with you. Second word, logic. The central word in what you say makes sense is logic. A single word that communicates you've truly listened, processed what was expressed, and respected the other person's reasoning. Unlike empty agreement, logic indicates recognition of another's thinking, even if you don't completely share their perspective. Psychologists call this emotional mirroring. When we reflect that something makes sense, we confirm to the other that their effort to communicate has reached its destination. The theory of shared reality in social psychology explains why it's so effective. We feel closer to those who confirm our experience of the world. When someone tells you what you express makes sense, your brain interprets it as alignment, and alignment generates closeness. At a neurological level, this type of recognition activates reward circuits, generating a sense of reciprocity. It's as if the other person invested energy in opening up and you gave value to that energy. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Be indulgent with others and strict with yourself." Saying, "It makes sense," is an act of indulgence, shows discipline over the impulse to correct or dominate, and communicates respect for another's perspective. Practically, the power of the word logic emerges when you use it precisely. Instead of a generic "makes sense," make it concrete by saying, for example, "I understand your point of view because I see how you reached that conclusion." This precision transforms the phrase into a mirror, and when someone recognizes their own thoughts reflected in your eyes, They unconsciously feel safer, closer, and more attracted. In a dialogue, this word has the power to transform potential conflict into collaboration, shifting energy from confrontation to sharing. And it's precisely in that sharing that trust is born. Third word, right. In the expression, right, you're correct, the key word is right, a term that satisfies the universal hunger for validation. Every person, even the most confident, carries within the silent need to be told, you're right, you're seen, you're recognized. Saying you're right doesn't mean giving up power, but demonstrating emotional intelligence. Psychology speaks of confirmation bias. We tend to prefer those who confirm our beliefs. When you validate someone with right or you're correct, you don't lose influence, you strengthen it. By aligning yourself even for just a moment, you lower the other's defenses and open the door to deeper connection. But timing and authenticity are everything. Excessive use makes the phrase empty, but said at the right moment it remains unforgettable. Imagine a heated discussion. Instead of raising your voice, you stop, look at the person and say, you're right about this. The effect is immediate. The ego relaxes, tension drops, the interaction changes. Stoic wisdom reminds us why it works. Seneca wrote, "It is characteristic of a great mind to recognize and welcome truth wherever it is found." Recognizing truth in others isn't weakness, it's strength, because it shows you value truth more than ego. Those who are insecure need to win every discussion. The wise know when to yield. In attraction dynamics, saying, "You're right," conveys humility and presence. It shows you're not there to impose or dominate, but to create authentic connection. And paradoxically, people are more attracted to those who don't fight for every inch. They don't see this as a sign of weakness, but of maturity. The maturity to recognize another's value without fearing the loss of your own. If used with sincerity, "You're right" isn't just validation, but liberation. It frees the other from the need to defend themselves, and the moment they feel they no longer need to protect themselves, they spontaneously move closer, trust more, and carry you in their memory much longer. Fourth word, listen. The last word is listen. At the heart of the phrase, "I'm listening to you," it might seem trivial in appearance, but in practice it's one of the rarest and most magnetic acts you can offer. Modern life is full of chaos. We live in a culture where people speak more than they listen, where conversations become races to see who responds fastest. University of Minnesota studies show that on average we remember only 25% of what we hear. This means that true listening, without distractions, without judgments, without mentally preparing the response, is incredibly rare, and rarity creates value. When you look someone in the eyes and say, "I'm listening to you," you're doing more than confirming you heard their words. You're signaling presence. You're telling them, "Right now you matter. Right now you have all my attention." Psychologists define this as satisfying the need for belonging, a universal impulse to feel noticed and significant. And the brain responds. Neuroimaging studies show that being deeply heard activates reward circuits, producing sensations similar to receiving gifts. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience. Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak." For them, silence wasn't weakness, but self-mastery. Seneca observed that the wise person is slow to speak but quick to listen, because listening reflects control over the impulse to dominate. In attraction dynamics, the power of listening is even greater. Think about it. Physical appearance can capture initial attention, but it's hardly enough to keep it alive. What truly feeds desire is the sensation of feeling safe, understood, and free to express oneself without fear of judgment. When you practice authentic listening, you create that safe space. It's there that people relax, open up, and begin to associate your presence with relief and authenticity. And relief becomes a form of addiction, while authenticity exercises natural magnetism. That's why listening isn't just a skill, but true presence. It means stepping out of ego to enter another's reality, demonstrating discipline, humility, and strength, exactly the virtues Stoics admired most. In a world where everyone talks too much, those who truly listen become unforgettable. Before continuing, if this video is helping you understand more clearly the power of these 4 words, consider sharing it with someone who could benefit from it. And if you want to support this type of stimulating content, you can click the thanks button below. Your support is truly precious. Now stay with me because I'm about to reveal the simple phrase that can replace, "Hi, how are you?" and completely change the energy of your conversations. Let's return to the starting point. Most conversations begin with the usual empty script. "Hi, how are you?" It's polite, yes, but it rarely sparks anything, almost never makes you memorable, and rarely opens the path to deep connection. But now you know there's a more powerful alternative. As I promised at the beginning, instead of saying, "Hi, how are you?" try, "Tell me something beautiful." It's a fresh, unexpected phrase capable of immediately changing the energy of the exchange. People won't respond out of habit anymore, but will stop, reflect, and share something authentic and meaningful with you. And that's precisely the difference between routine and presence. And once the door is open, remember the 4 words we explored. Understand logic, right? Listen. They're not tricks, but timeless tools. They contain Stoic wisdom and confirmations from modern psychology and show you that influence doesn't come from saying more, but from saying what truly matters. If this video has given you a new perspective, leave a comment below. I'd love to know which of these words resonated most with you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and continue with us to discover the wisdom that helps us live better, connect deeply, and grow with greater clarity. Because in the end, attraction isn't about chasing, but about awakening. And awakening begins with the right words said at the right moment.